Men, do you ever feel like you just can't get ahead? Like you're misunderstood? Like you have no one to talk to that truly hears you?
And women, are you often frustrated, hurt, and saddened in your relationships with the men in your life?
What if there were a community of like-minded men going through the same challenges that would support, hear, and understand what you're going through?
Working together in unison to create understanding, intimacy, and strong connections. That's the Way of the Illuminated Warrior.
Way of the Illuminated Warrior Talk Show is a forum of candid conversations for men and women about men. Being a man today is not always easy. Until now.
So my first year in college, my major was animal husbandry, which my friends still bust my chops about. They wanted to know if I wanted to marry a sheep. But anyway, it was my major because I loved horses and I wanted to be around them. So that's why I chose that major. I recognized at a very young age that the gentle giants that we call horses really are allies, and I could really relate to them. So when you get to know horses, you realize how sensitive, intuitive, and responsive they are, and what we offer them, they offer back. So it's very beneficial, for humans, the healing qualities, which we're going to talk about in the show today, because my guest is an old friend whom we've shared many amazing experiences with. Including those with Indigenous elders, including Chief Orville Looking Horse of the Lakota Nation and Seneca Hawk Elder, Grandma Edna, just to mention a few. We have a shared passion for communing with the land, and most emphatically, her working, living, and caregiving for horses that have been put out to pasture to keep them active and giving them purpose is really one of the amazing things about this woman. So Pamela Rickenbach is a true warrior woman, as far as I'm concerned, for the benefit of these horses who need loving, caring homes to keep them active, and which is really a crucial part of their sacred purpose. So welcome to the show, Pam.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, I'm so intrigued. I had no idea that you were attracted to horses at a young age. I
Yeah.
love that. I really love that. And that just shows how really intuitive you are. I mean, from probably very young, because horses are not only magnificent and amazing, they go way back. They're ancient beings, and they carry a lot of wisdom. I mean, we tend to dumb them down to what we understand them as. And as time goes on, we have an ancient knowing of them, but we are also learning a lot of things about them scientifically too, that really prove that they're very special. When I say when I talk about the horses, I get really passionate, and everybody's like, "Well, the dogs do." I love dogs. I love all animals. Every single animal. I love all created things. Creators. We're so lucky, but the horses have always stuck out in a very different way for me. I didn't feel the same with them that I did with dogs from a very young age. When I was very young, I had a really aggressive eczema skin problem. It was like really one of the worst in the country. My face was covered, my arms were covered, my legs were covered. So for my first years, I didn't have any friends. Their parents wouldn't even let people near me. So I really bonded with any animals I was with. We had a dog, a big Great Dane, and then at one point we moved to a place where there was a horse in the backyard. And I swear I was having conversations with that horse.
I believe it. I've had many conversations with horses, dogs, and tortoises and other animals.
And this horse was telling me how to live, like how to, because there's a lot of chaos, I think, in my young life. And the horse was just like this wise. I actually thought he had a voice. And
well, so you and I understand that. Okay. So expound upon that a little bit, because horses absolutely are extremely sentient and intuitive and sensitive. You have to open yourself up to that. So in your experience, explain that for somebody who might not understand how we could actually communicate and receive like a symbiotic relationship with them.
Really, all that is appreciation. If you are appreciate in any way, you're already in. Like, then it's a matter of letting yourself feel it. One of the things that happen to everyone, they don't even realize it. When you come in contact with a horse, or even within 50 feet of a horse, you're already adjusting or recalibrating biochemically. And that's because their electromagnetic heart pulse is so strong, it goes out 50 feet. Yeah, so ours goes out like 10 feet. If you were like a yogi, we're
Maybe. Yeah.
super healthy. Yeah, you'd have like maybe 10, but
Yeah.
normally I think it's like 5 for most of us average, strong people or whatever.
And there
But
is scientific proof about that. We were talking about that, like the gamma.
100% in the Heart Math Institute in Sweden, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway,
Yeah.
that's easy to find out. So that's an old study. That's old in the sense that maybe for 10 years now we've known it. There was that. It's out there. Everybody now, whenever I see it online being shared, I'm like, wow, this is really getting around. It still has a new life because still people haven't really realized that what that really means is, so their electromagnetic heart pulse is a kind of frequency, right? And
Yeah.
the thing that we share with horses is we're mammals like them, and our biorhythm is very, very similar. So our normal beating heart is what theirs is. Unfortunately, because of our incoherence with our head and our heart, we have really strange rhythms with our heart, right?
Yeah.
When you come into the contact with the horse, that starts fixing itself because they're 10 times stronger than you electromagnetically.
Yeah.
So already you're getting a fix, right? And just recently, oh my gosh, this study is mind blowing to me, and I'm still getting my head around it. But so there's another thing that happens with horses, and all of us can feel it. It's a kind of peacefulness, and you would understand as a Buddhist background that you have that when you're meditating, we enter these different states, these different frequencies, right? We have the beta, which is our normal thinking one, and then we have the alpha, which is more our dreaming one. Then we have the theta, which is where most, people we know, like medicine people and, people can travel between the worlds there. Then we have the delta, which, is really out there now. But then we have the gamma, and the
Horses.
gamma is 100% the frequency or the doorway to the unified field.
Yeah.
So, what blows my mind about this study, horses are emitting that all day long, by the way.
Yeah.
And that
And they're
also,
so chill about it, like if I was doing gamma, I'd be like, "Hey man, look at me, I'm the
whoa,
gamma man," But they're just
they're just
chilling, they're
carrying that,
waiting, and they're accepting, right? If
you
you
know,
come
it,
into
and
their space.
it's a beautiful thing to understand because when you walk up on horses, right, you might see some of them standing off to the distance with their head kind of slightly down. They look kind of like they're meditating, right? Well, I learned a couple of years ago from a native elder that when you see horses doing that, they're actually tuning in so what he explained is they perceive on 18 dimensions. They're easily perceiving all whatever that means to them, right? They're aware. They're 3 days ahead of when weather shows up. They already know it. They can smell 10 miles. I know they're just have incredible sensory systems. But what they're doing when they're checking it, like when they look like they're napping, he says, don't ever walk up on them and disturb them when they're doing that, because it's like we're disturbing a church practice or something, because they're literally going to those other dimensions and getting what they need to live here.
Yeah.
And I just so when I first heard that, a lot of things I don't understand. Like but then this study came out like last week. It started hitting the world that they're emitting gamma frequencies, which has a profound effect on human beings.
Yeah.
It's like if we visited a monastery in Tibet, or to get that wavelength, that we would see. The other thing the natives say that's really, really incredible is that horses are the creator's universal tool for activating imagination and connection to the unified field.
Yeah.
So that's what they're saying. They're saying exactly that same thing, that when you're around them, you're freed, you're directly connected to the source.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, like when you're in meditative state, and you're not here, but you're in that liminal space between here and there, and the dimensions do open up, it's just like you're saying, that's where they're going, into that gamma phase of deep, knowing, of connecting, of traveling. And, that's why meditation is such a powerful tool also. So yeah, you can look at it that way. When they're in that state, they're in a deep meditation and they're able to elevate their vibration as well. So it's a good awareness to have, when you do approach them and they're in that state. Yeah.
Sheldrake's work, right, with the unified field, the morphogenic field.
And the morphic.
I feel like they go there, like at the horse nation, so to speak, where they pull on the very best of their kind, to become what they need to become, because they're also scientifically the second most adaptable creature on the planet next to us.
Well, they've
We're
been
the
around a long
first.
time. So let's backtrack a little bit just so people understand your journey, like what you do now, where you've come with the horses, because you've got a very rich and deep understanding and, caregiving for these horses.
Yeah, that's a service for sure of that has is my life really. But so back when I was young, I had horses, and then when then I was taken actually from my family, had to go. Um, I ended up in South America, married to Tarzan, which is like the fastest way
The
to
jungle
say it.
man, yes.
And I went into the jungle with my husband then, and lived there for about 10 years. And so we didn't have running water, electricity, and I was pretty young and really idealistic as an American kid. And like I learned, so my first real teacher in nature is the Amazon. And that's a powerful teacher.
Oh, yeah.
Because something I'm sure you've traveled enough to know that the environment will wake you up in ways you didn't expect, right? Well, the Amazon, she wakes
Or
you
ask
up.
for.
Yeah. The Amazon wakes you up and she never lets you go again. It's kind of like the horses do this for me too. I'm fully there when I'm with the horses because I have really big horses and we work in all kinds of situations where you can't be spacing out. The Amazon had a hold of me that way. So I learned so many things about nature and language, the language older than words, so to speak, the relationship. And my husband grew up, he was a fifth generation Amazonian. His family originally from Spain and Arab country, but they were Amazonian and learned from all the tribes. And I was actually the only person in our village that had two horses. Nobody has like pets there, right? Everybody helps and does a job, and everybody in this village would be like, well,
Yes.
what's their job? Right. So I'd like make because my one horse would always escape, somehow make it to my mother-in-law's and eat everything in her kitchen. Somehow, like she was across the village. He'd have to go down paths.
The horse was tapping into you saying, oh, mama makes some real good food there.
He was constantly vandalizing and getting in trouble. But my other one, his name was Moso, which technically means slave. He was, or servant. He Moso helped me take my laundry to the river. So I was just naturally using him, and it was a big journey for us. And then he'd swim while I do my clothes on the rocks, and we just had never thought twice about that. It was one of those things. He was helping, so he had a job. So when I came back to America, wasn't doing very well. I came back when I was 30, and for the first few years, I literally had one nervous breakdown after another. The culture shock, there was just so many things I was processing in the way of life here. And then I'm amazed I ended up staying through those first couple of years because I felt so out of place. And so like I was empowered in the Amazon. I had really become as Amazonian as you can get, to be perfectly honest. One of my English friends visited me there and they're like, don't you miss libraries? Or
well, you're very tall too. You could be an Amazonian.
I was the biggest one.
Yeah, I'm sure.
500 square miles.
So
anyway, the horses
had the horses related to actually your healing and moving forward, because that's something that I know.
And there's a more even mysterious story that goes with that and how they saved my life there. That comes along, but I come back and then I met up with an Indian who said, I went to him because I actually was at Yale University because I've had every kind of tropical disease you can have, including leishmania. And they wanted to find something. They knew I was sick. They just didn't know with what. So I got tested for everything you can imagine. And they loved me as a patient because no one ever lived. They never had a patient from that zone. So they discovered that I was completely clean of even leishmania, which I was only helped with the natives there. So then they wanted to know where, show us on the river where you were. And I just lied about everything. But so I ended up going to a native. I found a native person. I knew I'd had to. And I found, do you know Paul Tolokai? He's Dene. Okay, so yes. Paul, he was the very first native person I met in North America. And when I first went to see him, this is like out of a magazine that I saw he was giving a talk. So I just wanted to talk to him. So I got a meeting with him and he's sitting there looking at me like this. I swear, Perry, for like 10 minutes. He's just not saying a word.
He was in Gamma. He was assessing. He was traveling and is just
totally.
deciding.
And I understood. I got that. But
with it?
He had no idea who I was at all. And he said to me, you made you made a promise to the Indian people. Till you keep that promise, you're not going to get to live a good life. Like, and I remembered that this tribe, the Yuki, had given my husband herbs that had helped me survive the leishmania. I had leishmania when I was pregnant with Omar, and let me just say that's a fatal disease, and it's a skin eating disease, so it's also really painful and hard. And as soon as I started taking the medicine the way they prescribed, was crushing these leaves and putting paste on my scores, it started going away. But doctors would say, well, even though it's not present right now, it might show up later. So anyway, Paul was like, no, it's completely gone. And in Yale, they found out it was completely gone.
So I'm glad you shared that story. So to encapsulate it, because I was going to ask you about that if you were open to sharing it. You had this flesh-eating disease, and you made a pact with Indigenous people, which is part of the horse nation as well. If you wanted to heal, you needed to fulfill that obligation, that commitment to Indigenous people, to the horse nation. So talk about that a little bit, because that's important.
So when my friends grew up, like I told you, like he grew up in the jungle. So, and they were all hunters. He had 5 other brothers. So they knew all the tribes up and down the rivers. And had good friends in the Yuki, or with the Yuki tribe. He was friends with some Guaranis that were deeper in. These are all nomadic tribes that live deep in. And even when he'd go out hunting, every once in a while, an arrow would go right by him and hit a tree to say, no, don't take another step. We're hunting here now. So he was always like, he knew them. They loved him. They had nicknames. So he knew the tribe to go see, and he knew where they were, because remember, they're nomadic. They change in the sea. They go suddenly. So he went to see them. And one of the ones he grew up with, the same age as him, he begged him to give me some medicine. He knew they had medicine for leishmania, and I was pregnant with his son. So he went to talk to him, and they wouldn't do it. They're like, no, we're not helping her. She's white. They're a real problem. We don't help white people. And
that's a whole other conversation with Indigenous people and
down there it's pretty
whites.
severe. Those oil people, they've not made themselves welcome at all. And it's just a mess. But anyway, with this guy, France was like, please, you have to help her. I love her. She's having my son. And they still wouldn't help him. Like for a couple of days, he said, I'm not leaving till you give me the medicine. So he stayed for a couple of days with them. And then one of the elders came over and said, okay, listen, I'm going to help her, but this is the deal. She has to do something with her life for the native people and the animals and the nature, because that's only way I'm saving her life. And check it out. The plant that he gave us grows along the riverbanks. It's pretty common actually, but the thing about that plant is that it's taken care of by the horse spirit, the water spirits. And so, and if you don't get permission from those little spirits that are overseeing this grasses, then the medicine won't be in the plant. So they know how to sing to the spirit, and they know how to get it to be there. So I had no idea about any of that was true about that plant. I found that out later.
People don't, that's why we have to be open and be taught.
But I mean, even
magical things happen.
Yeah, but I had no idea it was horse spirits. I only learned after I was doing Blue Star.
So people understand, Blue Star Aquaculture was a vision that you had that was in Palmer, Massachusetts. Where you had how many draft horses that you were taking care of?
On average, 30? About 32, 33. Yeah, all kinds. So that and Blue Star, obviously, probably a lot of your listeners know that Blue Star is a prophecy. The Blue Star prophecies of when the children of the earth are waking up. So I named it after that because I wanted the horses to be part of that, at that point. What a journey. But anyway, I later would find out through a book that I was given by Pablo Aramingo, is a famous artist, a Shipipu artist who did all these ayahuasca dream paintings. And I opened the book one day randomly, and there was a chapter called Yaku Caballo, which is the spirit horses. And then I looked at the plants, and it was that plant that saved me. So that's how I'm saying it was like as soon as I started working in the ways I was supposed to work, I knew I had to stop doing what I was doing and find a way to help. And like a week later, one of my friends called and said, how do you feel about meeting this National Geographic author? Because we really need help with this tour we're doing. And so that's when I met Harvey.
Yeah, wow. And I didn't mention Harvey in the intro either, which sorry, Harvey.
I
Another
know
magnificent
he's here
and he
100%.
yes. So Harvey, just real briefly, yeah, National Geographic writer that we were blessed to spend some time with and have some
With
really interesting times with, which we won't talk about here, but
another
documenting some of the some of the elders and an amazing person he is, Harvey Arden. Yeah.
Harvey Arden.
Many
Harvey
beautiful
Arden, of
books.
all people, who was documenting, famous author. You know, the way he would say it is the most unfamous author in the world. Wait, the most famous unknown
Unfamous,
author.
unknown author.
Unknown
Yeah.
author.
Well, I mean, the guy walked away from National Geographic to follow his calling you know,
Well, he
give a
was
voice to
directed.
Indigenous people,
He
you
was
know?
directed. Fool's Crow told him to.
Yes. And he had no idea who Fool's Crow was. He was out on that story with photographer Steve Walls, and National Geographic canceled the story because they didn't think it was worthy. And Harvey's like, no, this story's worthy, and you're not having me do it, then I'm quitting, and this is my mission now, So
Yeah, yeah,
that's what he
yeah.
used to say. I mean, it always stuck with me. He's like, Barry, he's like, this is sacred work that we're doing here, And I'm like, it really touched my heart because I agreed with him. I mean, it wasn't about, making money or being known or getting anything physical or tangible from it other than feeding the spirit and the soul, So I agree with him. It is really sacred work working with these indigenous people and the horse nation and putting these messages out there and having people understand, there is a connection and we could all benefit from being in that place of gratitude and reverence, for what came way, way before, right? We'll be right back after this.
Do you sometimes feel down, lost, or lonely? Are your finances feeling sluggish? Can your relationships use a healthy tune-up? Don't fear, bro. Help is here. Experience the benefits of connecting with other men who are going through similar challenges. Be supported in our safe, sacred, and inspiring monthly telecircle with the Brotherhood of the Illuminated Warriors. Connect with Waska for one-on-one mentoring with the first session completely free. What have you got to lose? Check out illuminatedwarrior.com or send an email to waska@illuminatedwarrior.com. You're invited to step up your game and join us. You'll be glad you did.
I dug out the shirt, World Peace and Prayer Day, which you were
Yeah.
very instrumental in. I met Chief Arva Looking Horse of the Nakota Nation back in 2000. And I think we met shortly thereafter. And you've hosted a number of World Peace and Prayer Days. So speak a little bit about that, what World Peace and Prayer Day is about, Arva's vision and your role in that with your horses and all.
Yeah, when I met Orville, we that was through Harvey. We were actually, I think at that point, Leonard's book had come out. So we were doing like a book tour with Leonard's
Leonard
book.
Peltier, if you people don't know, look him
Leonard
up. A very, very
Peltier.
important figure in all of
Yeah.
our lives. Which is
So Harvey wrote that book with Leonard Pelletier by Leonard sneaking notes to him. And it's the name of it is My Life is My Sundance. And honestly, Perry, right now, I've been incredibly called to get that book out again and start reading it. And like, it's so prophetic what Leonard says in that book, and such incredible meaning for exactly what we're going through right now, in terms of socially. And I mean, all the native elders saw all of this happening. What do they call it? Your myth of progress. Orwell has a great line where he says, "We warned you that these things you're creating, you will not be able to control, and that time has come." So anyway, I got to meet Orville, and I first heard about Orville before, just in the early days with Harvey, about when he created this ride, this famous World Peace and Prayer Day. He had a vision, and he was going to hold this prayer in Canada. I believe he started it, and then so it was fascinating to me because he was going to ride his horses. He did everything with his horses. And that got my attention in a big way because I love horses, right? And at that point, I just loved them. I didn't understand them. I didn't know them. I didn't really have one. I never saw myself having another one. But like, I just was so intrigued by him using horses at every ceremony. Like, he needed to have horses and didn't really think a lot about it. But other than that, blew my mind. And so when I got to meet Orville, we became really good friends. My kids were about the same age as their kids, him and his wife Paula's, and so they became real close friends. Like, brothers and sisters in a lot of ways. They're still pretty close. And so, because after meeting him, and then we worked on Orville's book, which is White Buffalo Teachings,
Right.
and which I actually came up with that name. Like Harvey was like, "Hi, what are you gonna call it?" But I'm like, "Well, why not White Buffalo Teachings?" And he's like, "That's it." Harvey was famous for taglines, so him and I were always like running taglines in some way. So I have like 5 of them for my work now, like support, like go drafting a better future with with workhorses, or going green takes real horsepower, or those type. That all comes from the Harvey time when he tried to summarize everything in a tagline. And also he'd always say, it's always a metaphor, Pam. Everything's a metaphor. Every goddamn thing is a metaphor. Like
Harvey.
Harvey was amazing. And for
One
me, brought me out of my mental illness. Like, all of a sudden I needed to get right. I started meeting the elders that could help me put my mind, untie those knots, put my mind back together, integrate. When I met Freddy, who's a Peruvian elder, we both know, Freddy was able to help me own my Amazonian self. Unfortunately, I had separated them. The minute I got off the plane, there was no place for my Amazonian self at all. And I actually felt I was really negative about that period of my life. I was like, why did I stay there so long? I never went to school. I could have went, and whatever ideas.
Should have, yeah.
Harvey
wasted thoughts, emotions.
I mean, Freddie fixed all that. He's like, no.
Freddie's a South American medicine man who we've done ayahuasca ceremonies with, who's really powerful, really humble, wonderful. He's the only medicine person that I've ever done ayahuasca with, because I totally trust him. He's grounded, he's powerful, he's humble, he's amazing. Yeah.
And he's a Kayawaya, which their role in world history is pretty profound. Like, they were the only ones allowed to counsel the Incan Empire. Mm-hmm. And then there's like notes of them in Queen Isabella's books. Like, they were always sent as envoys to counsel leaders. Yeah. You know what, Freddie just said something, just an offshoot for a second. You'll appreciate this. Freddie just said something in the last ceremony I was in with him, where it was right as things were really unraveling in the Ukraine. And there was a couple of Ukrainian people in this ceremony. And he said, when it got to the part where he's sharing the wisdom of the elders, the Viracocha, that are coming through him, he said that the things going wrong right now today in the world with these governments and leaders of companies and things is none of them have elders counseling them. Right. And it just it seems so simple, but like, oh my God, yes.
There's such value and truth to that. Do you remember one of the gatherings we did up in Cattaraugus with Grandma Edna? Freddie brought a condor feather, because the prophecy of the condor and the eagle flying together, the north and the south, and the mending the whole sacred hoop and all. Yeah.
Well, that came about in an alignment, the Halley Comet alignment, the thing that happened in the earlier 90s, that they knew when that happened, the children of the earth would be waking up. And they had, I think was it 96? I think
they went back to sleep, some of them. Not all, but some.
Well, they make it really clear it's not going to be. It's going to be the children of the earth, the ones that want to be on earth. And honestly, so all of them were directed by spirit. Like, if you see, why are these Indians coming out like they do at the time that they did? Because spirit was sending them, because they needed to help the ones who were trying to wake up. And so as a result, yes. And as a result, we have Harvey with all his books and amazing stories of what they're trying to share, which is fundamentally that we need to love the mother, right? So absolutely. As well as I do how complicated it is being in the whole tribal scene, right? And how, as white people, it's painful too, and like it's a difficult place to be, because we're so in line, but we're also colonized people.
Oh yeah,
so,
absolutely.
We have our own wounds and around the genocides that have happened, and our women in general have fear, incredible trauma and fear around just the 400 years, or literally 1,000 years, they call them the burning years, when any day and any day of any month for 400 years in any town, you would have found a woman being burned, or a man. So, I mean, those are in us, like, we get it. And so we are also suffering from coming out of that and reconnecting to who we are. But
Oh,
you know this, that knowing the earth, it just requires love,
yeah.
you know,
Love,
and it's not,
gratitude, being
and
humble and
gratitude,
open.
yeah. And then the earth starts speaking to you in ways. But with horses, when you get near horses, and this is where they're most powerful, all of a sudden you're right in front of nature in the most sophisticated form. And because remember, they're a 65 million year old creature.
Yes,
They
star.
survived countless
Yes.
cataclysmic earth changes.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it by growing scales or
Yes.
horns or protective gear. They grew it by getting more sensitive.
Yeah.
So when they're in front of you, you already know it intuitively. People should pay attention to how they feel around horses, because if you feel fear, that's okay, because that just means you don't understand your own power. You know, it's always a mirror reflector with them. And they've been alongside us so long in history. And all the breeds you see are a reflection of the people that bred them, because once a people had the horses, they shaped them into who they wanted to be seen in the
Right.
world as. So there was a saying, show me your horse and I'll tell you who you are. You know, it was in here in America too. So anybody's horse can tell you everything about that person, even in the present days. But if you have Clydesdales, the whole reason they do is because the Scottish wanted you to know them that way, you know, or
So what would your horses say about you, Pam?
I think you know, what my horses say about me is, I think they early on, they walked all over me. First of all, you know, I just
That's
love
where you
them.
were at the time, though, right?
Yeah. I didn't really know,
Knowing your
didn't
power.
understand boundaries. I had to learn it, you know, with them, obviously, and to find my voice, to be with them, because they're incredible teachers of boundaries. Like if you, especially these big guys, you
Well,
know,
I've seen you with them. Yeah, and I'll put some pictures in here. Right, the draft horses, work horses, they're massive, and you're a big woman,
6'2".
and they're
Yeah.
yeah, and they're a lot bigger than you.
They're
So
way bigger than me, and they're powerful. They're
yeah,
so
but I've
powerful.
seen you drive the horses, and like when your confidence is there and you're in relationship with them, they're totally,
Oh, they really shaped
aligned with
me.
your energy, and it's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, that is a I never saw myself as that, you know, when I first started. Well, I got involved so really quickly when Harvey, right around the time of, I think it was around 2000, um, when, you know, Y2K happened or whatever, that I really was starting to fall apart again, you know, in a real kind of spiritual way too, because I was so tired of the negativity and the feeling like, here's all these prophecies and these words and these elders who are saying these incredible things, but then I look around and not see very much going on to amend it, you know, like, so what do we do? Like, I didn't understand how the earth actually works, and you know, all this pollution, all this destruction, all this, like, it just hearing it over and over and over, which is obviously true.
Yeah.
It worked on me in a way that started to make me feel really bad. And then I went to a gathering where there was a man up on the stage, Glenn Batten,
What a
and
beautiful person.
I walked in at exactly the point when he was saying, um, somebody had asked him about chemicals, like petrochemicals in the soil, and is there any way to deal with it? And he's like, oh, yeah, you know, like, no problem. We have my stuff. We'll eat that stuff right out. Like, that's not even we have
Yeah.
the enzymes. We have all the things we need to repair the soil and restore its fertility. And all of a sudden, I was so intrigued. It was as if, just like when the horses hit me, you know, like, or
It's
I
all
should
connected.
say,
Yeah. The earth, the horses. Yeah.
but now here was a real way to understand the earth in a simpler, better way. He's an amazing teacher. Glenn really is a
Yes.
great teacher.
He's very knowledgeable on all things natural and organic, and how to reclimate, dead earth. I mean,
Yeah,
I've seen
which is not dead. Yeah, it's just,
right.
yeah, dirt.
It's only been
Yeah.
trampled on by
And
thoughtless.
you and I both went through the Nature Lyceum, which was that obscure little the school of horticulture that really changed my whole life. I'm
Yeah.
sure yours too. I mean, I remember telling Jeff Frank, you are just as incredibly impacting my life as any elder ever has. You know,
Yeah.
and just in how to the hope for all of us in the soil.
Right. Well, these are things that we're not normally taught,
Right.
on everyday institutional education or lack thereof. So, you need to seek these things out. And, I think that's one of the beautiful things about Indigenous people, like especially traditionalists. They have this knowledge and wisdom. It's not anything but second nature to them. And, there's been an openness to a degree, because that's part of the prophecies also, them sharing with non-native people to, again, mend that sacred hoop. So when non-native people are open and reverent and respectful, you may have the opportunity to sit with an Indigenous wisdom keeper, as we call them, an elder who has this information, that wants to share it, but wants to share it with somebody who they know is going to be respectful and reverent and care for it. But we can heal like that. That's all we need to do, is just
Really is.
press into it. What's available
Yeah,
to us.
right. So if you look at, I mean, we were talking about Orville and how he uses horses in ceremony, because they are grounding a kind of energy that gets us there really fast. It takes us out of our normal thinking ranges. I mean, we're probably all experiencing altered states, definitely, but
Yeah,
they know how to help us, and the horses know how to help us too.
absolutely.
They know how to help calibrate us. And so anyway, they're proving their work in the world now is becoming more and more well known. They are some of the most effective therapists or
Yeah.
helpers to recovery, or because they're honest, and they want a relationship. So, and they also, with these mirror neurons that they have, like we have, they're able to show us right back who we are. So the mission of aquaculture, which is now what it's called, aquaculture, with the horses, is as it's a draft horse sanctuary for homeless, retired, and disabled workhorses. It's a place where, for them, designed for them, made for them, where they're cared for and shouldn't have to worry again about wherever they might land, right? So it's like a real retirement home in that way. And I created it because after my learning about the soil, I ended up driving horses in Philadelphia, which opened the whole world to me. Like, in terms, I can't even explain. We talk about that unified field of everything. Every day I worked with a horse, and every day I learned deeper and deeper about the history of this country, our peoples and horses and their contribution. And at the same time, we were really radically attacked by animal rights people. So in trying to explain those worlds, like, how did this happen that they don't see the horses as what they are? And how did it happen that we have, and it's causing more confusion, about everything. So that's when I wanted to create something for the horses, that because there were horses that needed to retire, they can't stay in the city, right? But they also need a home. So I wanted a place that people could come to meet them, know them, see what it is to take care of them, and really dive in and say, oh yeah, okay, these 2,000-pound horses actually want to do this. Like,
Yeah.
and their personalities are completely different than the regular sized horses or the riding horses, right? Well, all horses are different, but when you were bred to do a specific thing, that's what you want to do. And in a lot of cases with the big horses, they need to do it to develop their front end and back end so they can get up when they're on the ground when they're older.
Yeah.
I mean, they need that strength. And so anyway, I wanted an educational place that was 100% open to the public. I didn't want to put any kind of rules. I wanted people to develop their own relationships with the horses. And honestly, I personally know all my years as a nonprofit, they were an incredible success. We survived so many kinds of things that you can only call it a success when you see all the young people that grew up to have incredible careers with horses.
Yeah.
People that have come out of like their own their issues or whatever, and now are grounded with the horses. Like, no therapist, no school, nothing could have accomplished so much success with human beings. And it was all the horses.
I've seen it. It's organic therapy, really, in a beautiful.
It really is, because it's a natural thing. So anyway, that's what we are now. But
so you're open to the public. You want people to come there. You want to educate people and allow them to have a relationship with horses. And you have events coming up that people could check out.
Do. And there's just one other piece, because we say that we're drafting a better future for horses, humans, and Mother Earth. So Mother Earth is a big part of it. So we have designed, we're always designing so that the horses can live on in wherever they are in connection with the nature. So designing in circular ways. So I just want people to know that those are all essential parts of how this works. The humans, the horses, and the earth. When you walk onto our farm, come around this, you're entering where all of that is, explored and touched on. Not just like, yeah, we're going to go plow the field. No, maybe not. Maybe we're just going to go hug horses. Maybe, but so we do all these public community events to touch people's hearts, because even if you just see them, you're getting affected, right? But I think the most powerful, impactful thing that we've done is create this thing we call hoof prints in history, which is where we pick characters from the past, and they can even be Disney characters or famous horse characters, but mainly leaders or people who have changed the world with their horse. And you wouldn't believe how many there really are. Like, there's so many. And the horses' stories are just as compelling and outrageous as the person, like Washington and his horse Nelson and Blueskin, right? Or the characters that we do as of yet are George Washington with his 2 horses. We do King Henry VIII, who created the Shires for war. And then his daughter, who used the horse, his daughter, Queen Elizabeth, who used the horse as a powerful symbol of masculine and feminine power. That's nice. That flag with the horse on it. And then, all the ways they changed the world with their horses alongside them, right? We're doing this year Napoleon with Marengo, who's another famous horse. And he was captured by the British, by the way. He was so famous, they wanted to understand how this horse really was. So we tell the stories of these characters, and we do it by recreating what they wore, what their horses were like. And we do this parade, and we have a MC person or narrator who's telling the story while the horse is parading around. And it's incredible. Like Joan of Arc.
Where is this and when is this that people come?
This is in the mid-October here on our farm in Anam, Cara, and we'll do our best to make it live online too. But it's a really, really beautiful way to support this herd and also meet them up close and personal, and also get inspired. I mean, these stories are real. They shaped our history. Yeah. Alexander the Great and his horse Bucephalus. Bucephalus was with him through the conquering of the whole known world. So, like, they have a purpose alongside of us.
Absolutely.
They really do. They can be wild all day long, but that's not, they want to be with us. They want to help us. And I believe the real thing the Horse Nation is trying to do is connect us to who we are really designed to be, which is this noble, evolved human beings. Because to even be in a good relationship with them, you have to get right.
Yeah. Well, I totally relate to that. And that's a great place to end. So I want to invite people to visit the Anam Cara farm and check out
my website.
Personal. All the information will be on here, and get up close and personal, meet the horses, meet Pam, and support this beautiful endeavor. So thank you, my friend. This has been a wonderful conversation. We could go on and on because there's a lot of great information there. So thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Yeah. Horse history in our lives. Yep. Here we are making our own history with them. Yep.
Aho.
All
right. Well, until next time, my friend, let's continue to illuminate our paths with loving kindness and horse hooves.
That's right. Human history is written in hoof prints.
There you go.
All right. Ciao.
Visit illuminatedwarrior.com if you'd like to go deeper and find out more about what's available within the Illuminated Warrior men's transformational community. Tune in next time for more candid conversations for men and women about men on the Way of the Illuminated Warrior talk show. Until next time, illuminate your path with loving kindness.